Universal has created awesome animatronics, lands, and attractions that make us feel like we're truly living our Jurassic Park life. Sadly, not all concepts come to life, so today, we bring you 5 canceled Jurassic Park attractions. Fastpass Facts. Also, surprise! Jurassic Park Animatronics Part 3 will be uploaded later this week, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Amber Mine Coaster. One of the most recent Jurassic Park ride cancellations, the Amber Mine Coaster, was being developed back in 2001. Just after Islands of Adventure opened and was proved to be a huge success, Universal wanted to go bigger. They wanted more rides and more attractions for the park, specifically the Jurassic Park area. And so, a new attraction started to be planned. This ride was the Amber Mine Coaster. The Amber Mine Coaster was going to be built where Skull Island Reign of Kong is now, extending out over the pathway, even taking over some of the team member area behind Camp Jurassic. This coaster was going to be a hypercoaster, which means that it was going to be a complete circuit roller coaster with a height measuring at least 200 feet. That's nearly twice as tall as the Incredible Hulk coaster. The Amber Mine Coaster was going to be just that. Surrounded by electric fences, the area would have been themed like an amber mining facility. A mix of mountains reminiscent of Big Thunder Mountain mixed with theming elements that you could already find within Camp Jurassic, this massive roller coaster would climb a chain lift hill and dive down the mountain, swooping around waterfalls. Guests would travel along a track meant for mining purposes, in and around the Amber Mines. This sounds absolutely amazing, to be honest. And just as some of the other rides on this list, this coaster supposedly was approved and was even being designed by mid-2001. But sadly, because of the decline in tourism during this time, it was canceled entirely, and there was no more information released about this proposed ride. There were rumors about a Jurassic Park land expansion back in 2013, and people thought that the concept might be revived with Gravity Group, a wooden roller coaster design firm, designing the ride. But this never happened, and with Velocicoaster now open, we don't think it ever will. Jurassic Park Flying Coaster. Flying roller coasters are incredible because they literally make you feel like you are flying. So Universal thought that having a Jurassic Park-themed flying coaster would be a terrific idea. This coaster would have given guests a very adventurous ride in the air. This ride was going to be a Bollinger and Mabillard flying coaster, similar to Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. The ride would have been set in a huge aviary with lots of pterodons and pterodactyls. No doubt, this would have resulted in getting up close and personal with the creatures several times. Imagine the animatronics that we could have seen if this ride had been built. This attraction would have been a massive success if it had been constructed, because Bollinger and Mabillard's track record regarding flying coasters is impeccable. They have created some of the best coasters out there. They have long tracks, lots of airtime, and even huge drops. But in the end, this attraction was canceled. The bad news is that we are unlikely to see some variation of this coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure, since the Velocicoaster already exists. But the good news is that a similar ride exists at the Universal Studios in Japan. Known as the Flying Dinosaur, this ride is a steel flying coaster designed by, you guessed it, Bollinger and Mabillard. It is currently the second longest flying coaster in the world. It has 2 massive inversions and a 124-foot drop, one of the farthest initial drops ever. The story is that passengers are seized by a pterodon that has gone out of control. The beast throws passengers into the sky, making them soar above the ground for a total of 3 minutes. You get to swing 360 degrees through the worlds of Jurassic Park. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Jurassic Park Jeep Safari. Universal knew that Jurassic Park would be a success even before the movie came out. So while the movie was in production, they decided to begin working on a ride that would come to the parks. The team in charge of creating the ride read the book and were even allowed to read the script for the movie in order to get inspired and come up with some great ideas for the ride. The first concept that they came up with was a recreation of the famous adrenaline-filled scene in the movie, where the characters are being chased by a T-Rex, or Rexy as many of us know her. The problem with this concept was that, at the time, it would have been impossible to create a sequence where an animatronics T-Rex could be able to chase the Jeep or tear through the trees in the jungle. So the first concept was shelved, and it became the first canceled Jurassic Park ride. A few years later, when the Jurassic Park land was being planned for Islands of Adventure, Universal began thinking up new rides for the area. Jurassic Park River Adventure would be one. But they needed more, and they looked to the original concept for Jurassic Park the ride that had never come to life. And that's how Jurassic Park Jeep Safari began. The ride vehicles were based on the electric Explorer tour vehicles from the movie, and it would take guests on a tour outdoors and also indoors. After boarding the vehicle, guests would enter through the famed Jurassic Park gate and immediately drive below a giant Brachiosaurus. More and more dinosaurs would be seen appearing from their lagoons during this time. Soon after, a dinosaur would block the path forward, forcing passengers to back up the Jeep, unknowingly into a Velociraptor den. This would have been part of the indoor section of the ride. Things would have got really interesting here. This is when the raptors would start climbing onto the vehicle. In order to try to not become raptor food, guests would somehow escape the enclosure, only to come face to face with a T-Rex. The T-Rex would have stepped on the roof and spun it, just like in the movie. This would have indeed been a tremendous adrenaline-filled experience for fans of the film, but sadly, this attraction never came to life. The reason? It was just too similar to Jurassic Park River Adventure. And we can honestly see that, but we would have loved to experience it. Had the ride been built, it would have been located behind the Thunder Falls Terrace restaurant. But eventually, Skull Island Reign of Kong was built on this plot of land. Raptor Racers. Raptor Racers was yet another project that was planned for the Jurassic Park themed area in Islands of Adventure. The concept was designed in 2001, a few years after the park had already been open. The idea was to add a few more thrilling rides for guests in this area, and Raptor Racers would have delivered too. Designed by the Coaster Works, it was supposed to be a wooden roller coaster. The theme was to have guests chased by a bunch of velociraptors. They would have to escape from the claws of these hungry raptors. This coaster was partially inspired by the famous Cyclone coaster in Long Beach, and was going to have a track in the shape of a dinosaur skeleton. That would have been awesome. All of the coaster trains were going to be painted to look like the tour vehicles and Jeep Wranglers from the Jurassic Park movies. This story goes like this. Passengers get into the coasters and are chased by hungry raptors. They race to outrun them, and towards the end of the ride, they enter a dark area. Here the coaster starts shaking to simulate danger. But luckily, the passengers live to see another day. They come out only to see scary claw marks on the vehicles. This effect was one of the most exciting parts of the ride. The claw marks and damage to the coaster trains would have been revealed by shining a UV light on them, so the passengers could see just how close they had come to becoming the Raptors' next meal. Even though this ride was never built, the concept and the story of the ride were kind of recycled, and it became the Velocicoaster. This ride opened on April 30th, 2021, and it is the fastest launch coaster at any Universal theme park. It features 2 high-speed launches, a thrilling 155-foot fall, and 4 inversions. And of course, it has velociraptors. With all of these combined, you are definitely going to get your dose of thrill and more. Helicopters. When Islands of Adventure was being planned, one of the most iconic areas was Jurassic Park. This area is set after the events of the first film, and is filled with the attractions and exhibits one would find in the real Jurassic Park, including thrill rides and discovery-based exhibits. There were many rides and attractions planned for this area, some of which never came to life. One of these canceled attractions was Jurassic Park Helicopters. This ride would have been situated where Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey is now. This ride would have had a tower with the helicopter on its roof, and would have been a simulator-style flying ride that would take guests on a flying ride around Jurassic Park. Usually when we think of simulator rides, we think of a closed cabin ride like Star Tours, or the multiple motion-based mounted ride vehicles that share a screen like in Back to the Future the Ride. The plan for this ride was very similar to the one in Soarin', so Helicopters was going to use a suspended ride theater system. This would have created a unique and realistic experience of flying over Jurassic Park. Guests would board the helicopters, and their journey would begin. They would go around the entire park, flying over dinosaur paddocks and getting aerial views of mountains. While the guests were looking at the beautiful views, they would suddenly be attacked by pterodons. Pterodons might be very impressive and beautiful creatures, but just imagine seeing them coming at you through the air. That would have been terrifying. This sounded like such a fun and impressive ride, and as we said, it made it all the way to the original concept for the land when it was presented, but sadly it was never built. But who knows, maybe we'll get to see it someday. Which of these projects would you have liked to see become a reality? Let us know in the comments. Thankfully, many other Jurassic Park rides were created, and you can check them out. So start planning your next vacation. Our friends at pixievacations.com will help you plan your perfect vacation to Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Studios Orlando, or Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, specifically tailored to your vacation style and budget. And working with a Pixie is completely free. So talk with them to make the best out of your next theme park vacation.